Shenron takes away the Dragon Balls, and Goku bids his farewell to the planet. But it certainly raises more questions than it answers. Hello there, beautiful friends from around the world. I'm going to be your host, Blackenfist, and today we're going to talk about the GT ending and try to maybe get a better understanding of what actually happened. The GT ending was intended to be mysterious. It was intended to be ambiguous as to what exactly was going on. That was the purpose. And it definitely succeeded, as there have been so many theories and so many people trying to piece together what exactly really happened at the ending. Of course, before I continue, I must say, these are my thoughts. This is what I think happened. This is my own theory. By no means am I saying this is 100% fact, as the GT ending is so ambiguous and so mysterious that it's pretty much impossible to really determine what happened unless you just track down the writers and ask them themselves. Now, a great place to start is just to have a quick rundown of the ending. Shenron discusses how the Dragon Balls have been overused, says that he must separate himself and the Dragon Balls from this world, and tells Goku to come with him. Goku accepts. Goku then says farewell to his friends, and he shows up 100 years later at the World Tournament, and that's kind of the ending there. But of course, it's the subtleties where people really don't know what's going on. I think it's pretty clear that when Shenron says he has to separate himself and the Dragon Balls from the Earth because they've been overused, I think that this is just the standard thing where when someone wishes, the Dragon Balls go into a 1-year rest. It's pretty safe to say that because Shenron is taking an extended period of rest because the Dragon Balls have been so overused throughout the years that they need that much more time. And you do see them come back in Hero's Legacy. But the more interesting part of this whole dilemma is, of course, Goku. It's gonna be about Goku because a lot of things Goku is so central to this ending, and a lot of the mysteries are tied to Goku. Now, one very critical thing about this whole ending is when Shenron has his eyes glow and it seems as if he revives Goku. We don't know if he actually did revive Goku, but he does something to Goku. We'll get back to this later, but this is extremely important and keep it in mind. When Shenron revived Goku, he then proceeded to tell everybody about the misuse of the Dragon Balls and that because of that, he must take away the Dragon Balls because of the misuse. And then interestingly, he then tells Goku to hop on. It's pretty subtle, but think about it. Shenron talks about why the Shadow Dragons appeared in the first place. The Shadow Dragons appeared because the Dragon Balls were overused, and because of that, he has to separate himself, the Dragon Balls, and then asks Goku to come with him. What does that really mean in an indirect way? In an indirect way, what he's trying to say is, I have to separate myself, the Dragon Balls, and you, Goku. You have to come with me as well. Now, of course, it isn't said that directly in the episode, but he does say, hop on, Goku, it's time to go. He's pretty much demanding Goku to come with him. And I think if you really read in between the lines, what he's trying to say is that all the wishes that caused the Shadow Dragons to arise were somehow connected to Goku. Most of them had something to do with Goku. And what he's trying to say is the Dragon Balls are responsible, and Shenron himself are responsible for the evil that is the Shadow Dragons. But also, in a way, Goku is also responsible since he's also tied to everything. So by saying, I have to separate myself, and saying Goku to come along, what he's also saying is you bear some of that responsibility. And I think that's really what's going on. Goku, of course, always willing to accept responsibility, is of course obliging Shenron, and of course he's going to come. It's almost as if this is his way to pay back all the things that he had been tied to in the past. And that's the reason I think he comes along with Shenron. Another really contentious issue is whether or not Goku is alive, whether he's dead, and I really am in the camp that Goku is dead. Or definitely not alive in flesh and blood. Goku is definitely not in his normal state, and I do think there's a lot of evidence to support that, and there's really not much evidence to support that he's really alive there in flesh and blood. There's a lot of clues, but of course we'll start with the farewell tour. Goku went around saying goodbye to all his friends. Now, in all of these encounters, Goku mysteriously vanishes. He appears and then vanishes away, almost like a phantom. Now, people of course could say he just used his instant transmission, but one thing to keep in mind is he also said goodbye to Piccolo in Hell, and Goku cannot travel to Hell without the aid of a portal, so the fact that he went there and disappeared just as quickly in Hell does tell you something, that something else is going on. Now, some people could just easily say that perhaps Shenron aided him in him going to Hell, but then there's also the issue of his clothes. Pan finds his clothes right there on the floor. Those clothes are 100% physical. They are right there in the real world. They are right there. They're tangible. Pan is picking them up with their own hands. But clearly, when Goku left with Shenron, we see him wearing that same dogi. So how is it possible that he is wearing the clothes that he left behind? Well, it's only possible if Goku is really not there physically. There's also a little bit more evidence in Hero's Legacy. He appears right before Goku Jr. and then mysteriously he fades away, almost like a ghost would. But actually, the biggest piece of evidence for Goku not really being alive, and maybe not necessarily dead, but definitely not there in physical form, is when we see him after the gap at the World Tournament. Now, some people will say that this actually is evidenced as Goku being alive because he grew up, he aged. When he left with Shenron, he was clearly a child, and when we see him at the tournament, he aged up into an adult again. But actually, if you really think about it, it doesn't fit, because that time gap is 100 years old. So if we're really gonna go with the aging argument, Goku should be much older than he was portrayed to be at the GT ending. Toriyama has stated that Saiyan lifespans are about the same as human lifespans. The only difference is that at a certain point, Saiyans age a lot more quickly than humans. This point has never been established, but because the time gap was 100 years, and 100 years is a long time for a human to live, we can assume that 100 years is a long time for a Saiyan to live. And because of that, we can definitely say, without a shadow of a doubt, that if Goku was there, alive, in flesh and blood, then at the ending of GT, he has to be an old man. Absolutely has to be an old man. And the fact that he isn't an old man clearly suggests that he is not in flesh and blood. He is not alive. Something has happened to him. Perhaps it's not that he died. Maybe something else, but something mystical, something magical happened to him. And this is where I return it back to when Shenron glowed his eyes and it had an effect on Goku. Some people will say that what happened there is that he brought Goku back to life. Now, obviously, I'll argue that it didn't, but I'll say this. It's pretty unclear to know what exactly Shenron did when he cast his spell on Goku, but I think that all the weird behavior that we see Goku exhibit right after that whole incident of Shenron casting whatever he did on him, Goku disappearing, Goku seeming not to age the way he should be, and all the weird behavior of Goku and Shenron being in sync, being in the same wavelength, I think it all has to stem from what Shenron did to him at that very moment. What he did, I'm not sure. Perhaps Shenron turned Goku into a completely metaphysical, spiritual being at that point. That we truly might not never know. But at any case, I do feel that my theory does explain a lot about the GT ending and does cover up a lot of gaping holes. I guess the last little thing that we could say about the GT ending is Goku's appearance at the tournament. What was Goku really doing at the tournament anyway? Well, I clearly think that Goku was checking out the next generation. Goku wanted to make sure that the Earth was going to have the protectors that it needed. And clearly, seeing Vegeta Jr. and Goku Jr., Goku left knowing that the Earth is in good hands and that the protectors of Earth do carry on after him. When we see Goku at that final scene saying goodbye and going off into the distance, I do believe that that's him saying a good farewell, knowing that the Earth is in good hands. That is my theory on what I think happened in GT. Yes, it doesn't answer everything. Yes, it might not match up every little detail, and some people will say, well, if Goku really was dead or he was a spirit, how come he doesn't have a halo? Well, If my theory is correct, and Goku truly is dead or a spirit or a phantom of some kind, and he had a halo, then that would kind of ruin the ambiguity, that would ruin the purpose, what they were trying to go for in the actual ending. The ending wouldn't be as mysterious as it would be as clearly the writers were intending to be. So yeah, even though it's not an in-universe explanation, I think it's pretty clear that the reason Goku didn't have a halo is because that would kind of ruin the ending. It would give too much away. But, you know, that's just the way I feel. But anyway guys, I really do want to give a special thanks to Super Jaiyan, as he did help me cultivate this theory, so please check out his channel as he does some great Dragon Ball segments of his own. But anyway guys, if you enjoyed this and you enjoyed my thoughts, please subscribe to the channel as you will get new Dragon Ball videos as soon as they come out. But anyway guys, until next time, I'm Blackenfist, and I'll